back this week with some more PGA DFS action. How exciting! We are at the CIMB Classic in Malaysia and the British Masters being played in Surrey, England this week. So interesting, some interesting stuff for both of these tournaments. I feel really good about the Euro one, but the contests, as usual, are not as great. So I will not be playing as much Euro probably as I do CIMB, but I think Euro is the more interesting tournament for me. I don't know. I like the way things set up over there a little bit more confident in the plays over there, I think. But does not mean I will be not playing PGA. Just because you don't feel good about it, I don't think is an excuse not to do the research week to week. So you can learn from it. Justin Thomas up at the top here in Malaysia. He has won this tournament twice, 2016, 2015, 17th last year, but clearly the class of the field at 5-1. You probably won't see a number lower than that all year. 5-1 is probably the lowest you'll see. So all in all, I like JT a lot. He'll probably make around a third of my lineups. He will be very popular because, I mean, when you think about it, the normal highest priced golfer is an 8-1. 8-1 is still pretty low. 10-1, 12-1 sometimes for some of these guys. Like Cantlay last week was, I think, at 12-1. He was the favorite. So, when you're looking at that, you don't normally see a guy that's 5-1, and he's priced the same as Cantlay would be last week. So when you look at that, I think that makes JT an appealing play for most this week, and people will see that he's won here twice, so why wouldn't you go there? So all in all, JT probably in about a third of my lineups this week. Just a really clear best player in the field type of play. Similar to like Rom at Career Builder last year. It's just he's the best player in the field by a long margin. He could run away with this. Somebody surely could keep up with him, could be their week, but JT has the most potential to run away with this tournament out of anyone in this field, so I will be investing in him this weekend. Ryan Moore, also a two-time winner of this event. At this course, ball striking course fits him well. Second last week. Overall, just good form. This is a pure ball striker, pretty much. Terrible putter. Maybe the switch to Bermuda hurts him on greens that now are going to be faster. This course used to be paspalum grass, slower grass, more common over in Asia than it is here in the U.S. But now they've moved to a Bermuda that's much faster, and maybe some of these guys will be hurt by it. Maybe some of them will be aided by it. But identifying who those guys are is going to be difficult without maybe seeing it in action once or twice to see where these guys are going. In this event, when the course has such a drastic shift. But I think a lot of these guys are just good golfers and will do well at this tournament no matter what because they are better than most in this field. No cut event this week also, so you could play JT in a cash game. I would not hate it, but if I played cash, I'd probably split entries, one lineup with JT, one lineup without. Just the way that I like, approaching a field like this, where if JT wins, you still have 6 of 6 and you have the winner. If JT doesn't win, you can still get a lot of top 10 equity in the 9K range, and you're looking good then as well if those guys hit. So compared to maybe your 7K guys that you're less confident in with maybe less upside. So there's that. But yeah, Ryan Moore probably just a tournament play for me. JT a cash-in tournament play. Billy Horschel, good tournament play, but he hasn't been over here in a while. Coming in super hot. In the playoffs now it's taken 2-3 weeks to get back. Back to playing. Didn't play the Safeway. Didn't play Ryder Cup. So all in all, though, Billy Ho, probably deserves to be 14-1 if we're being honest because of his recent form. And when Billy Ho's hot, he stays hot until he falls off a cliff. Um, when the week that he falls off a cliff will be, who knows? But I don't. I mean, I think that there's players lower priced than Billy Ho that have the same kind of game and capabilities as Billy Ho that um, are playing well at the moment as well. So if I'm paying up that high, I'm probably paying for Ryan Moore, who finished second last week, as opposed to Billy Ho, who finished. Yeah, I mean, granted, he was playing really well, but it was a couple more weeks ago. I'd probably lean more. He's 2 wins here. I'd just $200 more. I'd lean more. I'd more. FanDuel price is appealing at 10-4, though. I will say that. Xander. Xander's just always a wild card for me. We know he's a really good player, but whether or not we know he's really good because he has so much upside. But there are weeks where he just doesn't show up, and it's really hard to tell when those weeks are going to be. So, do I like Xander this week? Yes. Do I consider him a core play? No. I think he's a good tournament play because people will go to JT up top. I think they overlook this 10K range a little bit. So, in tournaments, I do like Xander quite a bit. You can start lineups with Xander and be contrarian. Don't hate it. I probably like it more than Billy Horschel. But yeah. Paul Casey, another just really good golfer. Up there with Xander. Do I love Paul Casey here? It's hard to love Paul Casey at this price tag, generally speaking. The time that I normally end up playing Paul Casey is in the majors when he's criminally underpriced all the time because his reputation is not as a winner. So for majors, his odds tend to be a little higher than I think we normally expect. Like here he's 18-1 in a major. He's normally in the 40 to 50 range, but the way the pricing is in majors, he's like 7.8K. Usually just makes the cut and does well. So he's usually a good majors cash play for me, but I tend not to play him in full field events unless he's cheaper. So here, sure, he could do well, but Ryder Cup, Hangover, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to speculate. I mean, Finau, Fleetwood, Hatton, top 10, Brooks, they all top 10 last week at the Dunhill Links after the Ryder Cup. So I think the hangover narrative is overblown. This is money. They wouldn't be here if they weren't in it for the money. Unless you're Justin Rose, we'll get to later. But Paul Casey, yeah, just doesn't appeal to me that much here. Could he go out in top 10? Sure. But I think any of these guys up top could. So I'm not in love with it, but I'll be investing more in JT. I just think he has more win equity. Leishman is fine this week, but more of a tournament play for me. Kind of had a rough stretch last year where he wasn't playing well, so that I do want to see him kind of bounce back. He hasn't been super impressive lately. He's not racking up top 10s like Billy Horschel, Xander. Not really playing as well as Woodland either, who is cheaper. So my take is just to play a lot of Gary Woodland over Leishman. But again, this price tag on Woodland is not ideal. I think a lot of these 9K guys I like equally, and I will just be playing the cheaper ones in most formats. Keegan, 3 top 10s here at this event, which makes sense. He can be long and accurate off the tee, which gives him a big advantage here. But you don't really need to be super accurate, apparently. I mean, JT won here without being super accurate. You just have to be able to stuff your approach shots, and maybe the green change will hurt Keegan. Faster greens maybe hurt him because he's a terrible putter. But I mean, it's hard to really say on that. But he is one of the golfers in this field with a recent win, which is nice. But yeah, I think Keegan has to be in play this week. I don't know about cash games. I think the price is a little steep. I I think you can start cash lineups with RCB if you want. Back-to-back 10th place finishes at this event. Just a really, really strong golfer. Missed out on the Ryder Cup wild card, which was unfortunate for him. But I think with the way the European guys played, it's can't really say that he should have been on the team over a certain person. I think it's just the way things go. I think RCB will get his shot down the line. This year wasn't the year. Yeah, once Sergio goes, maybe RCB's next up. So I think he could be there. But I really like who he is as a player. I think he's a birdie maker. He can do well here. Snedeker coming off a strong performance at the Safeway. He also has a recent win within the last 2 months. Never played this course before, which is a little worrisome, but Xander never played this course before last year, third. Ryan Moore, never played this course before 2013, I don't think. Back-to-back wins. Justin Thomas didn't play this course before 2015. Back-to-back wins. Cam Smith, fifth on his first time. Second, third. CH3, Kira Jimmy Walker. These guys all did really well here on their first times. I'm not too worried about that. And Snedeker is a wily vet. Get a wedge in his hand. He is going to make some birdies. So I think Snedeker's a really good play at 9-1, RCB 9-3. I like starting lineups with both of them. Grillo, I'm not sold on. Just didn't play well last week, and I really thought he was going to. Didn't really show up here last year. Year before 17th, sure, but when you're paying 9,500, I think there's better. I think most of the guys in the 9K range are better plays. Snedeker, RCB, Keegan, Woodland, Leishman. I would all play over Grillo. Kyle Stanley's interesting. A trio of mediocre results here, all things considered. Normally I would consider those good results, but you're paying 9K now for Kyle Stanley. And he, is normally not even close to this expensive. So he is coming in with solid form. We know he's a great ball striker. Pretty decent Bermuda putter compared to other surfaces, but I'm not going to be on him here. Maybe that 9-3 on FanDuel is really appealing. Same with Grillo at 9K on FanDuel. Hard to pass up those numbers for odds value. Benny On, kind of the same deal. Elite ball striker, terrible putter. These guys are all the same player to me, kind of. Grillo, Stanley, On, Keegan, Woodland. These guys up here that are great ball strikers but can't putt. I don't love them here for those reasons. RCB even, not an elite putter, but, any of these guys could have a decent putting week and really come through for you. I like them all. I probably like Benny On a lot because of the price. I like Grillo on FanDuel because of the price. Stanley on FanDuel, the price. I play those guys on FanDuel over RCB, Keegan, Woodland at lower prices. I'm fine with that in a no-cut event like this, going with those kind of more equally solid but cheaper commodities. I think the only reason they don't have better prices this week is because they don't have the same course history that these other guys do. The recent form is pretty similar for the most part. Same kind of results, a top 10 here and there, and then a bunch of 30th to 40th place finishes. So, yeah, I'm fine with any of them. Louis is a huge wild card that I just don't feel like playing this week. Cam Smith, one of my favorite plays of the week on both sites. 9,700 on FanDuel I think is worth it. Compared to Grillo Stanley on. I will pay the little bit of extra for Cam Smith. I really like him here. 2 fifth-place results at this course. A bunch of recent top 20s. Australian, used to this kind of weather, this heat, these conditions. I like Cam Smith a lot this week. All formats, all sites. Kevin Na, an interesting play. Great ball, or not exactly a great ball striker. Sorry. Elite short game as of late. I do like that he's finished inside the top 3 twice here. And he also has good recent results. He's just set in price way behind these other 9K guys. So I don't know exactly how popular Kevin Na will be. I know Cam Smith will be popular. I like Kevin Na quite a bit this week in all formats on both sites. Brandon Grace is going to be a fade for me. he just hasn't been great recently, so I'm going to be off of Brandon Grace. Let me put him into the red category, along with Louis, guys that I'm just not going to be playing. So yeah, back to the sheet. Kevin Tway off a win at the Safeway over Ryan Moore in a playoff. Ryan Moore and Snedeker in a playoff. Moore made it a little farther than Snedeker. But Tway, 32nd here last year. I don't see why he can't play well again this week. Maybe, he suffers that win hangover. I think it was his first PGA Tour win. But this is a guy that's improving, so who says where the limit is on Tway? He hasn't shown this kind of performance in his career before. He may not win again, but based on his recent play, I think he's in play at this price. More of a tournament play for me, though, just coming off of a win. I think, maybe he lets up a little bit. Emotional win. We saw with Woodland last year, prime example. Big win at the Waste Management and then fell off a cliff for like 2 to 3 months. Just didn't play well at all. Couldn't make a cut again. I think he won and took a lot off of it. And he just kind of labored around for a little bit. So, yeah. I like Tway, but tournaments only for me with Tway. Danny Lee. God, I actually really like Danny Lee this week. I'm going to be having a lot of him in tournaments on both sites. Not exactly a cash play for me, but if he fits, I think, if you put in a bunch of other guys, you get to 8,100. Danny Lee, I'm fine with it. I like him just as much as Tway. Maybe a little more given his performances here at this event. CT Pan, a guy I really like, finished 17th last year here, and that was before he really had any strong finishes on the PGA Tour. 2 top 5s in his last 4 events on the tour, so I like CT Pan a lot. Both sites' prices, I think, are fine. That's how much I like him. And Danny Lee this week. JB, really random week last week, but for JB, it all came around the green, strangely enough. He was really good. That does not bode well long term usually. It means your irons have not been great. It means you're scrambling a lot and doing it well, which is great, sure, but that usually doesn't keep up. Ches, I like Ches down here a little bit. I think he's fine. Not a great year for Ches overall, but 33rd last week the Safeway. Pretty close to what he usually does there. 17th here last year, 60th year before that. Not great, but we're down here in these value price range. This value price range, I don't mind Ches. Pat Perez, I just can't play Pat Perez. He was on a heater last year when he won, so I think Pat Perez is just going to be off my radar this week. CH3 also off my radar. Had a good year last year, but I'm not going back there. Hostler, really bad last week. Can't go back there. Got to wait for him to heat back up. Uline, also really bad last week. Rather, really good result last year here with the T10, but I never know what to do with Uline. I will not be playing him this week. I wouldn't blame you for it. I think he has upside. I'm not convinced he is. I just never know what he's going to do. I'm never confident enough in it. So I personally, will try to avoid him where I can. Sam Ryder will be a very popular play after a 4th place finish at the Safeway Open. I simply don't know enough about Sam Ryder as a golfer to have a strong take on him. A lot of these guys like to look at their long-term results. I like to look at what they've done, over the course of a season, what I remember them doing the season before, and kind of, looking at that kind of approach instead of saying, oh, they had one good week, or, what's up? I don't think most players have heard of Sam Ryder until last week, and it's not to say he's a bad player. It's just to say that he hasn't been consistently, performing at the level that I would consider him in daily fantasy. So for me, if he's going to be popular like I think, I might just avoid him. But, I can see reasons for playing him. Sure, he finished fourth last week, and he was good tee to green. So generally, that's the recipe for a strong play. But I don't know if he's ever played an event in Asia. I don't know if he's used to this kind of travel. I don't know any of the answers to these questions that I would be concerned about with a player on tour like this. A lot of these other Euro guys are used to this kind of travel. Guys that grind PGA Tour and Euro Tour events are going to be used to this kind of travel. I don't know if Ryder will. I don't know if he'll be used to the conditions, etc. Personally, I will be off, but I see the merit in it. Personally, I won't be playing it. Lahiri. Lahiri is going to be super popular at 6,900, 8,500 on FanDuel. Look, I see the reasoning. If you're looking at course history, if you're looking at results in Asia, you will be playing Lahiri because that's what you're looking at. Recent form, not good. Not good for our boy Anirban Lahiri. But, sometimes recent form isn't the whole story, I don't think. In an event that's in Asia, we see the Hero Indian Open. SSP just came out, fired low rounds. Lahiri says he feels really comfortable here, which he even thinks to himself that he has an advantage over other tour players at this course because he knows it so well. So I like that factor for him. I think that's something you have to consider. And for Lahiri, I like the prices. In a no-cut event, I will gladly play him as chalk even at this at these low prices. Sure, there are pivots. We'll get to them, but I think Lahiri is worth playing. I think people are on him for good reason. Thomas Peters, another ultimate wild card like Usti. That, if Usti were this price, I would be playing him probably. But, he's expensive. Thomas Peters is cheap on DraftKings at least. So I think he's worth a few shots. Always has the upside. He has a big game, but he always seems to make some errors. Hold him back. But in a no-cut event, I think he has more time to rack up birdies than, maybe he gets that. Maybe he gets a triple in the third round as opposed to the second round that makes him miss the cut. But maybe he makes 6 birdies that round and he's 3 under. That's a good DraftKings scoring round. So, I don't hate Peters this week in tournaments. Jimmy Walker is going to be a fade for me. Siwoo is going to be a fade for me. Chappell has played well here. But for me, I'm not going to be personally playing it. Barnrat. I like Barnrat. I think, the Asia angle is a big one for him. Usually plays well over here. Third place here back in 2015. I don't know why he hasn't been back. Or wait, 2013. But I'll be playing Barnrat this week at this price. Sure. He's super cheap. I'll go there. Stuart Sink. Another guy. Super cheap. Great ball striker. He's old, so you could worry about how he would do in the heat, but he's top 20'd here 3 out of 4 years he's played. So I'm fine with Stuart Sink. At this low price, I just don't think people play him because his odds are never good, no matter what his results are, really, because he is old, and they look down on that. They think that, he's past his prime, so you don't price him up. Same thing is happening with Patty Harrington on Euro this week. We'll get to that. Abraham Answer withdrew from the Safeway Open, I think with a hand injury. Maybe that was just, I don't want to play again yet. I don't know, but Answer was going to be like 33-1 and like 9K for the Safeway Open, and now he's 7K. I think if he's back in good health, he's definitely worth playing at this price, given the form that he was in before that. So I think Answer's worth a look. Probably used to playing in super hot conditions, given that he is from Mexico. Kokrak, I don't know what to do with him, but I don't normally play him, so I'm probably not going to. Brian Gay is going to be a fade for me. Bronson Burgoon, Burning Maker, you could go there. Scott Piercy, good results here in the past, but been terrible overall. He had really strong course history at Safeway and missed the cut, so that does not increase my confidence for him this week at all. Austin Cook will be off of Putnam. I'll be off. I think Putnam withdrew to get Lahiri in. Or was that Landry? I think Landry withdrew. I always get them confused. Troy Merritt, good result last week, but it was a lot of short games, so I will be off of him. Steele, again, good course history, but did not play well at a place that he has elite course history last week. I think the form is too bad right now. Love Mark, I'm off. Spawn, I'm off. I'm off of pretty much all these guys until Keith Mitchell. I think Keith Mitchell's worth a shot. He's a bomber, but I think he will go underowned down here, and he actually has some all right recent form. James Hahn, you could go there just due to the history. I personally won't have much. Ollie is going to be a fade for me. Week Him is a fade for me. Scott Vincent is a play I'll highlight, as a tournament play just because he has had really, really strong results recently on the Asian Tour, and I know him from Euro Tour. He has reached the 8Ks in prices on Euro events before, which means he's not a terrible player. He's like 140 something, I think, in World Golf Rankings. So, not a bad player, just a player you've probably never heard of, and that's fair. But I think that he's a strong play this week at a basically mid 6,500 price. That in a no-cut event, why not take the shot? He's not gonna. Sure, he might tank your lineup, but I'm confident enough in him as a player that he can overcome these conditions. Obviously, if he's playing the Asia Tour, he is used to playing over here in Asia. So I like Scott Vincent quite a bit, 6,500. I wouldn't pay him in a cash game, but he'll make a lot of my tournament lineups. I think if you are looking for a low-price guy to leverage the field, Scott Vincent, I don't mind going there. C1 Kim is another one that finished second last week. I forget where. Asia Tour, probably. But, also a player that I've heard of that isn't terrible. So that's it for the CIMB. Let's hit the British Masters sheet and see what we got over here. This is a cut event at Walton Heath, which course history for us this week on Euro. U.S. Open Qualifier 2018, U.S. Open Qualifier 2017. Those are the two leaderboards I found. Sure, some of these other guys probably played other years, but I'm not too worried about that. I've got 16 weeks of recent Euro Tour results. I'm going to chop that down to 8 right now, just because I don't think 16 is really useful to look at. So let's go through. Up top, I'm actually going to change Justin Rose. I had him as a really strong play, but I realized that since then that he is hosting this week. And hosts have not done too well at the British Masters over the past few years, not winning, basically, which is what you want Justin Rose to be doing if you're playing him at this price. I think hosting is just going to limit him. I don't know. I'm going to fade him. Top price golfer, fade him. The host narrative, I'm off. I really like Fleetwood. I really like Molinari. I think both of them have strong potential to win this week. I will take them over Rose at a little lower prices. I don't know. That's just where I'm going to go there. Bjerregaard probably would have been more of a strong play for me if he didn't win last week. I think getting that monkey off his back, really, really strong young player and won a really tough event last week. I personally am just going to be off. Post-win hangover, just going to be off of it. Pepperell, I think, is a strong play this week. Finished 5th in U.S. Open qualifying 2017 here, showing that he can compete here. Pretty good form overall in the last couple of weeks. The price is the only thing that really would keep me from putting him in a lot of lineups. 10K is a lot to spend. And I like the 9K range a lot. So if he fits the last spot in a build that you make after I go through these other guys, then sure, play him. But I'm personally not prioritizing him in lineups. And I'm not landing on him too often. So, for me, I probably won't have very much, but I definitely like the play. I like all these. I like Fleetwood. I like Molinari. I like Bjerregaard. I like Pepperell. I don't really love Shane Lowry. Sure, he tends to play really well in Britain, but he's from here. He probably should. He just hasn't been. Sure, 6th at. What event was that? think it was some event over in Europe. Sixth, there missed the cut at the links, which is a little concerning. He had a good record there, so I was kind of thinking, maybe he would do better. Nope, wrong. Did not come through last week. Fitz did not either, which is interesting. Fitz not the greatest links player, but it's enough that makes me move off of Fitz a little bit. British guy, but I'm off a little bit. Olesen came through qualifying here for this year's U.S. Open. Started a really good run of golf for him. Really strong results recently, 22-1, really good odds value. I think Olesen's in play. I love that price on him this week. Andy Sullivan also trending up, 30th, 28th, 20th, 10th. Also British, just a really strong overall player. Won't overwhelm you, but I think he's a strong play at 9,300. I like Olesen better, but I do like Sullivan also. I'd probably try to find the extra 100, but I don't mind pairing them in a bunch of lineups. Schwartzel, I'm going to be off. Just haven't seen enough consistency from him lately that would make me want to play him. Lee Westwood, he was hosting last year, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass for that performance, but I don't know what to do with Lee Westwood ever, so I'll just be off. I'm heavy on Hao Tong Lee. Second here in 2017 U.S. Open qualifying. Fifth last week, the links. Good results before that. I really like Hao Tong at 9,000. Patty Harrington is getting odds value. Maybe 50-1 isn't too bad on him. Now that I look at it again, I think he opened like 80-1, and people were like, okay, well, he's playing well, worth a shot. But seventh last week at the Dunhill Links. Seventh, fifth, second, and 2 missed cuts in his last 5. So, maybe worth a shot in some tournaments. Hao Tong will be popular. Patty will not. So I don't mind that play, actually, in tournaments if you want leverage off of Hao Tong. Tom Lewis might also be really popular. 7th here last year in U.S. Open qualifying, so he qualified through here. 2 wins in his last 4 starts. 10th at the links last week. Really strong golf recently, so I'm going to be playing Tom Lewis at 8,800, which is, if you've played Euro Tour before, you know that is a strange price for this guy, but he's been so hot recently that it's worth it. Maybe he'll cool down, but, right now I think it's worth playing. Andrea Pavon also been really hot. I'm just going to be off of him more. I think I like Lewis more, just given the fact that he should know this track. Ross Fisher, I'm off for the most part. Matt Wallace, I really like. 2-time qualifier here. Had a bunch of wins last year on the Euro Tour, so he can close. He can get the job done when he wasn't even leading, I don't think, when he won last year. He didn't convert a 54-hole lead. I think he came back a bunch of times to win. So I like that. Chris Wood, I think, is a strong tournament play. Very boomer bust type of player. Better on non-links courses, I think. So for me, I don't mind Chris Wood actually in tournaments. I think Wallace is probably a little bit of a safer play, but Wood, I think, has equal, if not more, upside. Ryan Fox I like a lot here. Just a really strong player at this price I like. Elvira, I'm worried his form is very boom bust. I won't be on him. Keimer, same deal. Beef, Andrew Beef Johnston. His strong tee to green game should help him here. I like that he came out up top in the U.S. Open qualifying last year, top 10 the year before that. So this is how he gets to the U.S. Open. I think he even made it in 2016 through here. I think this is what he does every year. He just comes to this course and qualifies. So the recent form worries me. It's a little spotty, but it's always been a little spotty. And he qualified here twice when his form was spotty. So I'm fine with Beef. And more of a tournament play for me, but I don't play cash for Euro. So play Beef. Go wild. Varner, I'm off. Detry, I'm off. Stern, I'm off. Kinholt, I see the merit given recent form in this price, but I will be off. Narrow player pool for Euro. Rock off. Southgate, despite third last year here, he just hasn't had the upside very recently that I like, so I'm off. Jordan Smith, I don't mind. Solid recently, no worse than 36th in his last 5 tournaments. And while he did not make it through qualifying here last year, he has played the course. Soren, I would consider, but there's other plays down here I love. Lucas Herbert and Brandon Stone, I will have in a lot of my lineups. And then Julian Surrey, I will also have a bunch of. Just a good, strong young player that I think can do really well this week. Julian Surrey. Smith and Surrey are probably equal to me. I like if I'm ranking players down here, it would be Herbert, Stone, Smith and Surrey are probably equal. Beef is probably a priority over Stone and Surrey and Smith, but yeah, those guys are all close. But Herbert and Stone are my favorite. Lorenzo Vera, I will be fading. Van Rooyen, I love, but I'll be fading him. Hebert, I'm fading. Coronin, fading. I'll change Hebert's color. Pavon, sure he did well here in qualifying once, but I don't love it. Levy is the cheapest I will be playing this week, I think. At 7,100, he came in third here 2 years ago in qualifying. Has flashed a little bit of consistency recently after a bad run. 32nd last week at the Dunhill Links, which he traditionally hadn't been a great player at. So I like Levy quite a bit for value at 7,100. If you're trying to dig deep, I think he's your best bet. Might be a little chalky, but I think it's worth it. Aaron Rye, maybe worth a shot, given that he's qualified for the U.S. Open twice here, once being the low score after 36 holes. Yeah, 36 holes, right? That's 18 of his 2. Yeah. Okay. Scrivener, maybe worth a shot down here also. And then Colsarts and Ramsey. Ramsey, third place here in qualifying twice. I don't know. You can take a shot on him. Colsarts, I think, is just a better player than he's been playing like recently. Maybe worth a shot as well. So that's all I got for you this week. Yeah, so I'll run it down quick. British Masters, Fleetwood, Molinari, Bjerregaard, Pepperell, Olsen, core play for me. Sullivan, another semi-core play for me. Houtongs, core play. Lewis, semi-core. Wallace, I'll have some of. Wood, I'll have some of. Fox, I'll have some of. Beef, I will have some shares of. Smith, some shares. Herbert and Stone, I will have heavy exposure to. Surrey, I'll have some shares of. And Levy, I'll have mid to high exposure of. Probably less than Herbert and Stone, maybe a little more than Smith. Probably around the same as Surrey and Beef. I'll probably have the same amount of all of those guys. So, that's for British Masters. CIMB, I really like. JT, Moore, Xander, Keegan, RCB, Woodland, Sneds. On Stanley and Grillo are alright, but I prefer him on FanDuel. Cam Smith, Kevin Na, I really like. Lee and Pan, I really like. Tway, I can see, but I'm worried about the wind hangover. Chez, I don't mind. I liked him more at the beginning of the week before pricing came out. I looked at some of his numbers. I thought he'd be cheaper. He is not. Perez, I don't like. Sam Ryder will probably be a little popular. I don't love it. Lahiri, I like at this cheap price tag, but he will be chalky. Fair warning. Peters, I don't mind. Alpha Barnrat and Sink, I really like. Down here at the low dollars. Answer, I like, just purely based on his form was apparently good enough to warrant 30-1 last week, and now he's 80-1, 7,100 instead of 9K. So there's probably some merit into playing him strictly due to that. Not much has changed since the Safeway Open. This isn't a much stronger field or anything. Maybe a little stronger, but not super much. Scott Vincent, I like quite a bit due to his recent form. Sure, they're not PGA Tour events, but it shows that he's playing with confidence and he's playing well compared to other players. So I do like Scott Vincent quite a bit in some tournaments. That's all I got for you this week. Best of luck, and if you've got any questions, I will be in the Fan Cave Discord for yeah, just shoot them my way, and good luck this week. Hope we hope we do a little better than last week with the Neiman and Griot debacles. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. Good luck, and I'll see you in the chat room. Peace.